Hey guys, today's video will be first of a number of videos that I'm putting together as I'm designing an actual project. So friends of friends reached out to me and they told me that they have seen some of my work and they really liked it. And I will call them Becky and Bob for these videos. And we decided to meet, and I found out that Becky and Bob just bought a new house and they are looking to redesign their backyard. And after we decided that we're a good match in this process, what happens is we sign a contract for a landscape design work, and I also send out a landscape questionnaire to my clients. And I took many years and many projects to refine this landscape questionnaire, and I will post it in the description down below for you to use. And this questionnaire is quite important in my process because I want to know a little bit more about my client's lifestyle and what they're looking for in the space, what they're like and what they dislike in their property. And I think you will find it very helpful as you design your own space. Also, during our first meeting, I asked my clients to locate a site survey, and 95% of the time they reach out into their mortgage documents, and that's where it is located. And Becky and Bob had the site survey right there because they just bought a new house, so it's all fresh. So I was able to leave the first meeting with an actual site survey. Now, if you have difficulties locating your site survey, you can reach out to your utility department or tax department or maybe local engineer. Or if you know the architect of your home, they normally will have a site survey on the record. If you still can't find a site survey, you can use Google Maps as a base for your design. Just keep in mind that Google Maps is not as accurate as a site survey, but I will show you how to use Google Maps and how to measure some of the features on your property. And here's how to do that. After you type in your address into Google Maps and locate your house on the satellite view, and here I have Becky and Bob's house. You can right click on the screen, and all the way on the bottom here you will see measure distance. You can click on that and you will see this little dot. And in this case I would like to measure a distance between the garage and the sidewalk. So I'll click again on the sidewalk, and it seems like the distance is about 34 feet. Now, it's a great tool, but remember that Google Maps measurements are not 100% accurate. I actually find Google Maps helpful to see an overall picture of the neighborhood, if there are any busy roads, if there are beautiful public parks or beautiful views, and it's also helpful in the sun and shade study. This is a survey of Becky and Bob's property, and I find it very helpful because it does have a lot of measurements, but it's also very cluttered and has some of the information that I don't really need. So what I do is I redraw the site survey as a more simple base plan using SketchUp. And SketchUp has a free software that is web-based and is very intuitive to use. There are a number of tutorials online that you can go and learn a little bit more about it. I will post all of the information about it in the description down below. After I redraw the site survey in more of a basic plan, I'm ready to go back to the property to take measurements and take site inventory. Taking precise measurements is not as crucial if you're designing a large outdoor space versus interior design or a small garden design. So because this garden is on a small size, I had to go back and retake some of the measurements because I just wanted to make sure that they are correct, because in a small garden, even half a foot or inch can make a big difference. The next thing I do is I'm walking around the property is I take site inventory. Site inventory is basically anything that will be important in the design, like sun or shade, drainage problems, any views, both beautiful and unsightly, any traffic patterns, existing plantings, windows, doors, air conditioning units, electrical boxes, basement windows, And I usually take note of property boundaries as well. There is either a metal peg on corners of the property, or sometimes there's a little stone, because you don't want any problems with neighbors, with trees being planted on their side or cut on their side, because we've had that happen before when there were some disputes over the property line. I also take note of any setbacks or easements that are mentioned in the site survey, and I haven't had to deal with easements until last year, when I had a project with electrical wires going all across the backyard of one of my projects, and the easement was 5 feet from both sides of electrical wires, where we could not install certain features like water features. Obviously, water and electricity don't mix, and plant trees of a certain height. So definitely check with your site survey or with your local utilities if there are easements on your property, because that can change your design. Basically, I walk around and I look at everything and anything that can either hinder or enhance my future design. For example, Becky and Bob's house has solar panels, and those solar panels have a large electrical box on the back of the house, and there is an air conditioning unit to the side, both of which I know for sure I will have to screen in my design. If I get a chance to get inside the house and I'm invited, I certainly will. Because I want to see the views of the garden or the future garden from certain rooms, like a living room or den or kitchen, where people spend a lot of their time. And in this case, Becky and Bob invited me inside because they wanted to show me a layout of their house. And I took note of the views from the living room, the kitchen sink window, and also second floor bedroom, because they had some privacy issue from their neighbors, and that is definitely something that can be fixed with good landscape design and good plant screen. I also take tons of photos and videos, because this is not my garden and I don't have access to it on a daily basis. Although sometimes I tell my clients, hey, I can just stop by. Don't pay attention to me. I can just walk around the space and kind of think about ideas. But normally I will design off photographs and off the videos. And also photographs are very helpful for the before and afters. And sometimes I will print some photographs and I will sketch some designs right on them. After measuring everything, I actually update the base plan, so I'm ready to make the site inventory plan and site analysis. And I know this sounds tedious, but it is so, so important. And some people at this point are ready to jump into the design of their garden and go on Pinterest or Instagram and look for inspirations of beautiful gardens and just copy and paste that gorgeous photograph into your own space. Unfortunately, from my experience, that doesn't work. And from designing many gardens over the years, I've yet to see a space that is similar to another space, because our climates are so different, our locations are different, and soil and sun and shade, and we have to cater that situation to the garden that we're designing. And that is just part of it. That is just the site conditions. And then when you take into the account the human element of what people would like to have in their space, and sometimes I have two people in the household that cannot agree on what they want in the same space. So I think thinking about your space and observing it, making all the measurements, taking site inventory and site analysis is so important for your garden to have the best design that it can have, and not just beautiful, but also practical. Okay, let me show you the site inventory for this project real quick. One of the first things I note in my site inventory is which are the sunny areas and which are the shady areas. Now, if I lived here, I would probably observe the sun throughout the day and make some notes of it. But since I don't, I use an app called Lumos, which tells me exactly how much sun certain area receives. And I will post a video in the description down below. It will show you how to use that app. Now, I use a highlighter to identify all of the sunny areas, and that is important both to locate my outdoor living spaces and also for the plants, of course. I also use arrows to identify views, both beautiful views that are going outward. For example, these views are out in the beautiful public park, but also the views that are going inward the garden, like for example, all of the neighbors' houses right here. And I identify any of the features in the garden, like the trash or air conditioning or electrical units, and also all of the points of entrance, like the main entrance, the back entrance, and entrances into the garden itself. After I'm done with my site inventory, I make site analysis. And site analysis is basically an action plan of what I need to incorporate in my future design. For example, those views from the neighboring houses, I know that I will need some sort of a planting screen in this area and this area, but I also know that I need to preserve the view into the beautiful park. And I actually like the open view in the back right here, so I would like to preserve that as well. I know that I will need to screen the electrical panel and air conditioning. So site analysis is very action oriented, and it uses words like move, trim, enlarge, emphasize, screen. And it gives you a sense of action, and it's great when you're stuck at the design process. A lot of times it will relieve your bottleneck of ideas because you will start with simple practical solutions on what to do next. Thank you so much, you guys, for watching. Let me know in the comments below if this video makes sense and if you're enjoying it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.